We shouldn't consider any of this permanent, you know, that this is just the way things are, that this is the way things have to be. No, things are going to go one way or another. Things are going to change. And when I said at the beginning that I have enormous excitement about being here with you, because a lot of it is great bearing on what you do about it, you know, whether you accept it or whether you take up the fight against it. And I'm going to talk about what that fight means in the fullest sense of my view. What I want to do first is tell people that we don't have to live this way, the things we're going to get into in a minute. You know, we can have a whole different society for the people here, for humanity. You know, not just looking at it like it's some kind of an American affair, American problem, but looking at the whole planet, you know, and what's going down in the world. And today we're going to be focusing on mass incarceration, mass imprisonment, racially based mass incarceration, the supermax prisons where they put people in long-term solitary confinement, the situation overall with the criminal justice system, wherever you want to go with that. But we could be sitting here talking about the destruction of the global environment, you know, which is also severe. We could be just talking about one of the wars going on in the Middle East, which I believe are wars for empire, you know, for the U.S. to dominate, you know, the Middle East as part of the whole global capitalism and imperialism. We could be talking about that, any number of things, you know. We could be talking about global hunger, starvation, you know, in Africa and Southeast Asia, where we could be going into, but today we're focusing on mass incarceration. But the reason I'm putting it all together for a moment is that to me all these are crimes of a system of capitalism and imperialism, and we don't have to live this way.
Mass incarceration has impacted our society by driving most of the tax money to prison. We as people suffer because of racial dehumanization and the loss of the schooling. Mass incarceration has taken a toll on the 99% who don't have, unlike the 1% who do.
Mass incarceration and war on drugs are two horrible things we are facing in U.S. society. The war on drugs is the federal government's attempt to end, import, manufacture, sell, and use of illegal drugs. It was created by Richard Nixon in 1969 and continues to be a cause of mass incarceration. His administration spent over $1 million to stop the use of drug crimes that were happening. However, some claim that the war on drugs was actually intended to target low-income communities of color. According to one of Nixon's advisors, Nixon emphasized that you have to face the fact that the whole problem is really the blacks. The key is not to devise a system that recognizes this while not appearing to. Social control. Michelle Alexander, a former civil rights lawyer and author, called mass imprisonment the moral equivalent of Jim Crow because of how many African Americans are behind bars for minor drug charges and how the legal system appears to supposedly target people of color. There is evidence that law enforcement target communities of color through drug laws. For example, even though statistics show drug use to be equal among races, police target and arrest people of color at higher rates. This has added to the problems of racial bias in American society and generated some of the fiercest debates around continuing the legacy of racial discrimination. It was the Clinton administration that championed laws banning released prisoners from public housing, authorizing discrimination against people with criminal records for the rest of their lives, as well as putting their families at risk of eviction once they come home from prison. Racial discrimination is clearly the violation of the 14th Amendment, which clearly states that no state shall deny any person within its jurisdiction to the equal protection of laws. In other words, the government is not equally protecting its people, as we can see this on the war on drugs.
In the court case, Brown versus Plata, there was a decision that was made that if a prison has a population of 110,000 to 140,000 inmates, they have to reduce their population by more than 30,000 within 2 years. This case had a majority opinion of 5-4. The primary cause for this decision is that there has been overcrowding in California prisons. Shortly after the case, California prisons have begun to reduce their overcrowding.
25% of the world's prisoners are in America. This proves to even say that mass incarceration is a negative impact on the world, or even on society. We as people need to get together and find other alternatives than sending everyone to jail, or even having cruel punishment in jail.
I wish I was a kid again, running with my friends and them up and down the streets, waiting on the bell to ring, riding on the school bus, drawing on the seats, on the phone all night with a girl I like, and she claims she a freak. It's straight, I can never go back, I would never go back, but it would be cool. Rise and shine, get up off my ass and mash for cash. No time to procrastinate. Yeah, I'd rather drink a 40, but they have to wait. I ride a bucket, kinda rusty, but I blast the bass. On the road again for the pros within. The fly used to be sunny, but they snowed it in. Now the junk is scrape change for the dollar menu. That's what he said, but the rock is what he really into. Gave him $1 anyway. The who knows, maybe the dope boys, baby, need some new clothes. Cause we all going through it. No matter how you view it, slice it, cut it, bring it back to screw it.